This video is sponsored by the Artlist and Artgrid Edit Challenge. Dehancer is a plugin for DaVinci Resolve that you add as a finishing effect to your grade. It does film stock emulation, film grain, halation, bloom, and a few other effects to simulate the film look. My goal with this video is to give you a better idea of how each of Dehancer's individual effects look and how they look when they're combined together. This isn't going to be a full tutorial on how to use Dehancer because there's a lot of those videos already on YouTube, including on Dehancer's official channel. This is just a showcase of the results I've gotten, and if you decide you want to try it out, please use my affiliate link in the description of this video and you'll get a discount. Also, I will be posting this video up on Vimeo as well, because the film grain shows up better on Vimeo than it does on YouTube. So check the video description for that link too. Alright, so I'm starting off here with some raw footage from my Sony A7S III, and now I'm going to apply some of Dehancer's film stock profiles to that footage. We'll try some variations with this shot of a baby first, and then I'll move on to some other types of shots. The thing I like most about the film stock emulation in Dehancer is that it can be subtle. Usually I'm not trying to create some over-the-top retro effect, I just want to give my footage a slightly different look that feels more like film. And while most of the film stock profiles are fairly subtle, you can get a more extreme look if that's what you're after. And there's several options for black and white as well. Some reviewers of Dehancer have said the film stock emulations are not accurate to the actual film stocks that they're supposed to represent, but honestly, I wouldn't know because I haven't shot film in many years. I think most users of this plugin will be after the general feeling of film stock, which is why I made this video, so you can look at it and see if it matches the visual styles that you're trying to achieve. The image from digital cameras can be so clean that it doesn't really look organic anymore, so that's why I wanted to try putting Dehancer's film grain on it. Dehancer's grain is probably its most impressive feature, but it's also sadly the least likely to be appreciated on YouTube because of the compression. So let's go ahead and zoom in. Dehancer doesn't just apply a grain overlay, it actually recreates your image out of grain. So when you zoom in, you can see that the grain actually creates the image rather than just sitting on top of it as an effect. Here is DaVinci Resolve's built-in film grain effect, and I tried to visually match it as much as possible to Dehancer. Is there enough of a difference to justify purchasing Dehancer? Personally, I really like the overall softer feel of Dehancer's grain, but of course 90% of my audience will never even see it because of small smartphone screens and heavy YouTube compression. If you really want your audience to see your film grain, what I recommend is rendering out your project at the maximum possible quality, either as ProRes or very high bitrate H.264, not H.265, and then upload in 4K to YouTube or to Vimeo. Like I said earlier, Vimeo's compression does a much better job of preserving film grain than YouTube. We are going to take a little mid-roll break here so I can tell you about a filmmaking competition that you can enter. Artlist and Artgrid have brought back the AGEditChallenge, which is a video editing competition with over $75,000 in prizes. You could win a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K, a Nanlite lighting kit, a Zhiyun Weeble 2 gimbal, and lots of other prizes. You can also win subscriptions to MZ Pro, Motion Array, Artlist, and Artgrid. So there's 3 main winners, plus there's going to be a judge's favorite, so you have many chances to win. To enter, go to the AGEditChallenge homepage. I'm going to post a link to that in the description of this video. Then create a video using only Artgrid footage and Artlist music. It could be a made-up brand film, a movie trailer, or a music video for an Artlist song. Submit your video by posting it to YouTube and in the title using Artgrid x Artlist Edit Challenge and hashtag AGEditChallenge. If you want some bonus points, post your timeline breakdown on Instagram. And if you do that, make sure to use hashtag AGEditChallenge, and also you should mention @artgrid.io and @artlist.io. The challenge starts on August 23rd and it ends on September 23rd. Check out the link in the video description for more details. I'll admit that I never knew what halation was until I started using Dehancer. So in case you don't know what it is either, I'll explain a bit. Halation is a flaw in film that shows up as a red halo or fringe around high contrast edges. Here I'm turning it off and on again. And here it is up close. In this shot, halation creates a sort of red glow on the baby. And in this one, you're seeing the maximum halation settings to make it extra obvious. Of course, I would never use these settings for a real color grade. Most of the time, I found halation almost invisible in my footage, especially more visually complex shots like this. Like a lot of Dehancer's effects, halation can be so subtle that you almost don't see it. But when everything is put together, it does add to the overall film look. Bloom is a much easier effect to notice. I don't think I need to explain what it is. But just in case you're having trouble seeing it, just look at the highlights as I turn on and off the bloom effect. Dehancer's bloom can be really obvious, like you see here. Or it can be more subtle. I would feel pretty confident replacing my black Pro Mist filter with Dehancer's bloom effect in most situations. Dehancer has a few more tricks up its sleeve for creating vintage looks. Vignette is, of course, the darkened edges of the frame. Film breath creates inconsistencies in color and exposure. And gate weave is when the film jumps around in the camera or the projector. When you put everything together, you can get as grungy as you want with the look. However, according to Dehancer's documentation, these effects should usually be set at very low intensity for an almost subliminal feeling of film movement. One more thing to mention about Dehancer, it will really slow down your system. I thought I was going to be able to crank out this video really quickly, but the render times ended up turning it into a week-long project. Each time I wanted to tweak some settings, I needed to wait for the cache to render over and over at less than 1 frame per second. I'm using a maxed out 2018 MacBook Pro, so your performance may vary depending on your system. Alright, so that's my overview of Dehancer. Please check out the links in the description of this video, and remember to subscribe for more. I'll see you next time.